Okay, let's try this for a second time. I believe I am now recording live from Arlington, Vermont. Now the question is, am I? All right, now YouTube is being... there we go. All right. So, it might have been... there is a possibility it might have been operator error. It is that possibility. But, so I guess I got to start all over again. What I was saying that nobody heard. I will not be here for the next 2 weeks. Basically, next week I'm going to a automata convention that they have every other year. What automata is mechanical dolls. Everything, you think of the music box with a little dancer on it. It can be as that simple, or it can be complicated as a machine that can. The best one I can think of that's not going to be there is the Writer, which is considered the world's first programmable printer that was made in the 1700s. And I've seen pictures of the inside of it, and it's just insane. But that's going to be in Morristown, New Jersey. And I might pop into Northlands, since that's sort of kind of on the way. When I went to the first convention, that's where me and my ex-girlfriend wound up going there and watching that whole entire thing. Be interesting to see how that has changed, since it's also changed. I want to say changed owners. I guess the guy who originally built the thing now has it, sold it off. Hello there, Kyle. Thank you for coming in. Along with the rail artist who's being cooked for tonight instead of doing the cooking, which I guess is normal. Damarva Rail Fan, which I believe is a relatively new person. And who else is there? I know there's Curly Express, Dwight himself. And I believe those are the only ones that I've seen actually are participating at this point. Yep, those are the participants, and I thank you for coming. And then the weekend after that, I'm going camping with a bunch of friends of mine, and also with possibly my sister and brother-in-law is going to be there. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. So it'll be basically next month that I'll be back live again. And that's the silliness that's going on my life. Also, the new guy I've been training for the past 2 Fridays, he's been gone solo. First time, I guess, went perfectly. It wasn't perfect, but it was a lot less dramatic than the last guy I was training. And then I could only think what else is going to be coming out. I'll have to double check with HR to making sure that yes, I'm taking uh, Monday off, uh, or not this Monday, but next Monday off, and possibly even next Thursday, because basically, uh, basically it's going to be a long drive down there, and I want to get there, try to not hit the uh, try not to hit rush hour traffic. So that's what my plans on that are. And plans for tonight. Oh, speaking of hot dog pilot Andy, there he is. Thank you for dropping in. Now I'm not, Andy. I'm not quite sure. But when I'm watching your live streams, I'm not quite sure what it is. But it seems that I live. I have to have it sort of like 30 seconds behind or something, because every time I have it on live, it winds up being, it's fine for a while. Then all of a sudden, well, hello there, Andy. How you doing? Thank you for coming in. Oh, we had two Andys now. Of course, it's like you can't make the same pun with two mics being in stereo. But yeah, it's like for some reason, when I'm watching your live streams Sunday morning, if I'm trying to watch it live, I constantly get the little circle there, saying that, oh, it's pausing. But if I have it like 30 or a minute behind, I have no problem. The only thing as I could think of is that maybe there's some data packets that get lost while they're going across the pond. So I don't know. But yeah, as I've been saying with everyone, for the next 2 weeks, I will not be live because I'll be doing other things. Next week, I'll be in Morristown, New Jersey, at a mechanical. Yeah, actually, very strange. I remember there was like an update or something like that where I couldn't do any live stream, including my own. When I was doing one of these, it was just, for some reason, it just would not go live. But as if I was 15 seconds or 2 minutes late or something like that, I would have no problem. It has since gone away, except for your channel. Don't know. But yeah, it's sort of my announcement for tonight is that I'm not going, for the next 2 weeks, I will not be here. So I'll probably also go to YouTube Studio and put something in the community tab and go that direction also, saying Morristown, New Jersey has a nice railroad museum. Ooh, good to know. I know Northlands is on the way to there, so I might wind up, heading to that one also. Do you happen to know the name of the railroad museum in Morristown? But right now, all right, I guess back to speaking of railroads, probably is a good time to go back to settings. Morristown North Railroad Museum. All right. It says Whippany, New Jersey. I'm assuming that's near Morristown. All right, let's pull out, see how far we are from Morristown. Does not look that far away. Well, I'll pin that for later. But it does, well, maybe I'll go there. Oh, there's the Morris Museum. There's the airport. Interesting. Maybe possibly less than 5 miles away. So that's good to know. Thank you, Andy. All right, now back to where we were. Okay. Now, today is going to be a very exciting day well, it's always worth the trip. Just recently, I was heading down to Rhode Island and not realizing, 19th century ex-Erie caboose. Interesting. That I actually didn't realize. I drove right by a streetcar museum, but unfortunately, I was there. Apparently, I was there a week too early. They had not opened up for their season yet, but it's I want to say, I almost want to say it's about 30 minutes south of Amherst. Amherst is about 3 hours away, so this would be only 3.5 hours away. And okay, we got that there, that there. Yeah, tonight's going to be a very seems that this got a small piece of glue underneath it. This is okay. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat, but now to take off all my weights. All right. Now, basically, these are all stained with the Hunter line stains. Stain them in these different cups here. And then after they were done staining, just throw them in a paper cup here and just throw them in there. Now tonight, the reason I'm using this camera instead of the one up there is that this, I think the field of vision is right about here for the for the top camera. So basically what I'm going to do is start with this camera, and maybe once I get around here, switch over to the top camera. And then unfortunately it's, about, I think around here. Yeah, right about here. I wind up being out of view with this camera, and I think this camera by that time. So, and I can't really. Yeah, I'm up against the tote right there, so I can't pull the tote anymore. But I mean, glue and ties is glue and ties, so it's not going to be overly exciting. And I'll be using clear because I am now out of the pure white stuff. So let's go right straight down the middle to fill in the gap. Sort of a different style of mining the gap. All right. So let's see. What do we have where I can spoon this along? I know I have some not so great uncut ones here. Yeah, this one's these are slightly bad ones that they got past quality control over at the I'm blanking on the name. I think it's St. Albert's. It's basically the lumber manufacturer that Fast Tracks uses. All right, let's keep this away from that. I might have put a little bit too much down for the first coat. And of course, the important thing is to making sure it's in the right orientation. Don't have to go too crazy for the first couple of inches. Because these first couple ones might be in the tunnel for the tunnel or behind scenery. So I don't have to go too nuts about it. Might be able to get away with not having as many there. That looks like Inu. This is Inu. There's a possibility because I do have Inus. Yes, this is an Inu, which I believe is a Riverossi. It does. I think. Of course, I'm seeing it upside down. Yes, this is Riverossi for AHM. Out of all the different flavors and versions of this particular mold, I would have to say it's the one I like the most. So I'm always on the lookout for the Riverossi versions of them. I do have two of them. Unfortunately, the other versions, I believe from Picho, I think it's called, they are, I don't know, there's a reason why I not, I mean, I got a bunch of them, but I also, I think the Riverossi ones have a lot more detail to them. And is also they're also the ones that have this style of pilot where it actually has a coupler on the front end. So the Pichos and the other ones have more of the standard cow catcher. But I am the 1776. I think is when they were just starting to start using they were just starting to use knuckle couplers. They weren't standardized yet. But what I'm going to be using as the history of the Happy Valley Railway is that they one of the early adopters of the knuckle coupler. And the thing is, I'm going to have to modify all the couplers. Because when they started using the knuckle coupler, they were designed so they could still use the link and pin. And also with all the models, well, especially the model of the of this mold, I actually had to turn around and take all the dynamos off because it's an era that they had air brakes, but they still they were just starting to to lean towards the Lincoln pin or the knuckle coupler, and also they haven't electricity wasn't was not reliable at this point. Oh, hello there, Derek. Thank you for stopping in. Yes, happy birthday or happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, whether biological, stepmothers, adopted mothers, I was thinking of a fourth one. Oh, and the ones that have all the mothers that have their own fur babies. Which I guess technically, since my sister has a kitten, does that make me a fur uncle? Don't know. Probably at the. Our family used to have a tradition of celebrating my sister's birthday, Mother's Day, and Mom's birthday at the same time because they were pretty much very close to each other. Uh, Mom's birthday was April 28th. My sister's birthday is May 5th. And of course, Mother's Day is the first or the second Sunday of May. So instead of having them all individual, it was sort of kind of decided that we would do it do all three at once. When I went to my sister and saying how was her Cinco de Mayo, it's like going like, yeah. There was one. There was at one time once Cinco de Mayo was getting very popular. She just didn't like going to a bar to celebrate. Then somebody turned around and said, "Hey, just don't go to a Mexican bar." And after that, it's like, oh, okay, so she can still go out and party on with friends. I know for for myself, I'm not that much of a drinker. I don't think my sister drinks more than would drink more than me, but I think it's more with her. It's she it's more like cooking with it, not necessarily drinking it, because she likes to cook. No. Hello there, Anthony Dodge. Thank you for dropping in. I'm hoping that Joyce had a very happy Mother's Day along with your daughter. Hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely tied up in the moment. I might be able to. She's planning her gifts right now. Nice. All right, let's see if I'm within camera range of the other one for overhead. Yes, I am. All right. Probably see a little bit better here. Looks like I'm going to get out of camera range about there. Yeah, I want to say the last 6 or 7 inches is going to be off camera because cameras are not in those positions. Let's making sure this one doesn't stick to anything. I went too much on it. Went too heavy on the initial setup because it's starting to dry out right about now, and I still have right up to about here. So I might have to reapply glue. But I'll probably reiterate what I said at the start of this after I guess hit the right buttons to actually start the live show. So for the first couple of minutes, I was babbling to the camera, and apparently it didn't go live. So let's bring that up. But right now, I'm not quite sure when I will be getting this particular layout done, but I want to say I'll have this done maybe by the end of the year. Between the other dioramas that I have and this, I might have enough scenery and enough track and all that to do the golden spike, the NMRA, which I keep on getting things saying that, hey, you need to re-up. So I got to remember to do that small little detail. But well, that's interesting. That's a smaller one. Instead of being rectangular, that one is square. And now that I'm not doing things sideways, I'm getting a better look on, the tie spacing and etc. Might have the same issue with the gauntlet track down here. Which I may have to reposition. Because right now this is, except for the small end down here, everything else is sort of glued in there. But having to realize that after I glued it in, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not going to have enough room. Now there is the possibility I might be putting these a little too close. But then again, I could be wrong. I'm not sure exactly what the tie spacing is. But at this point in time, I am not aiming for RPM levels of precision. It's more, pretty much not quite a novice. But I would have to say, someone who's at least, assuming at least a, I want to say journeyman. Definitely not a craftsman at this point. All right, looks like I'm to a point where the glue is too dry. This is too dry. Let's go for a shorter run this time. All right. Well, if I do a little dab there, I might be able to go all the way to the end. And just have to, hopefully I get there fast enough before it dries. Terrible time to give up the glue sniffing. Well, this is it's a clear glue. But it's not a smelly glue. It's I want to say it's a clear. I want to say it's a clear. It's a clear version of white glue. When it gets on your hands, it feels the same. It dries about the same. So I don't know what they do to make it clear. But it is clear. And I think the older style, they weren't really as precise as this stuff is now. I do remember watching it was a track laying machine from, I want to say, I want to say before the Great Depression. I want to say it was like the 1920s, because I almost want to say the way it looked. It was definitely not the earlier types of film. The film technology was to the point where I want to say it was. I mean, you still had to have professionals, but there was a lot more professionals than yeah. I want to say it seemed to be filmed by someone who was he might not have been a master of the camera, but they were decent at it. And the locomotive that was being used, it was an older style, but I want to say it was an older style that looked like it might have been built at the turn of the century. It did not look like a it looked like a 19th century locomotive, not an 18. But it also looked old enough that it was not what you would expect. All right, we'll put that on top of there. Doesn't matter if they get stuck to that. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to use those. But it looks like the selector plate might have to be lifted up just a little bit to meet up to the right railhead. Ah, gotcha. All right. Yeah, it's confusing with centuries and dates. Yeah, 19th century. 1800s. Keep on forgetting that it's there is no year zero or century zero. I think it would be actually really nicer that there was that current setup. Yeah, once I hit here, I'm going to wind up going off camera again. And I'll be too close to the camera over there, so you won't be able to see what I'm doing in that direction. Although that camera is so much easier to move than the overhead. Overhead camera is sort of kind of Also, another thing is that there's also uh, the possibility of uh, since a lot of it was manual labor. Uh, Even though I want to say, even though it's one of those things of if you look at something from a distance, uh, you get to a point where uh, it looks very straight. But if you look at it in a different perspective, I mean, there's a lot of times that they would show track and they're like, I'm like, oh my god, this track is the worst track ever and all that. And then when you take a closer look at it, is track on the Acela, which is a high speed line. But you look at it from uh, the edge, uh, and it looks absolutely all over the place and all that. But uh, especially if you look several miles down the line. But if you're looking at it very closely, it looks straight as can be. So if you're looking at it from for miles and all that, there are a lot of times that you see videos it's like, oh my god, this is the worst track ever and all that, and it's seeing a train bouncing along and not really doing much and all that, and then by the time it gets to the camera, you find out that it's doing about 70 miles per hour and all that, and it's not bouncing as much. It's more of a illusion that it's very ugly. Yeah, 1800s. I'm aiming for June of 1776. Basically, I'm aiming for the centennial. There's a lot of layouts out there that do the bicentennial with their red, white, and blue diesel locomotives. But I just happen to realize that there's probably not that much out there that does the centennial. Some railroads dressed up their locomotives, or at least took pictures of them. I'm not sure how much the centennial fever was. All right, looks like we got about maybe 3 more to go. Definitely off camera. Put one right on the end. And fill in the spaces in between. All right. All right, and with some left over, which I'm going to need more for this down here. But that looks like it's going to be it for tonight. Probably the next time on here would be to put the rails in and have them line up properly. Now, what I'm doing with the quote-unquote main line is to have it so it'll be dual gauged, along with the selector plate down that direction. The section here will have a gauntlet track down here, and then eventually coming into a 2-track yard that would be broad gauge only. My story that I'm going with is that by June 1776, they had this. The management had decided to go standard gauge, and with the broad gauge railroads, they would just add a third rail. And in this situation, they have gotten the main line completed, but they haven't gotten to all the sidings yet. And this is one of the sidings that they haven't gotten to yet. So that's why they haven't ripped up the third rail here, because they still had broad gauge sidings and sidings and branches. So yes, I am getting very tired, Derek. Scale spikes? I honestly don't know. I know on the dioramas I haven't had any spikes, but I might. All right. Well, that's good to know about Joyce, Anthony. Now that I'm actually starting to actually catch up with the live chat. All right, time to switch over cameras. Okay, now to switch to the main camera. Of course, I usually forget that little part. But yeah, for those who weren't here at the beginning, I will not be here for the next 2 weeks. Going to Morristown, New Jersey next weekend for a mechanical doll or automata convention that happens once every 2 years. Hello there, Thomas. Thank you for coming in. I'm in the process of doing the outro. But yeah, I will not be here next week because of the convention I'm going to in Morristown, New Jersey. And next weekend, I'm going camping with a whole bunch of friends of mine, and possibly with my sister and brother-in-law are planning to be there. So it's one of those things of, I was actually planning on actually seeing her around her birthday, was on the 5th. And I started talking about it, and then she's like, I'm going to be in Maine. It's like, I'm going to be in Rhode Island, and she's going to be they live in south of Boston. It's like, well, I guess I'm not going to be seeing you. So right now we're planning to meet each other over Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, pretty much hiding by. So that'll be it for me this evening. I just happened to realize I do not. Let's see. I believe it's Ray Bobel tonight, correct? For the Sidetrack Sunday? That sounds about right. But well, I'll find out exactly which one it is. Nissy, all right. Yeah, the thing, I know that they haven't changed their logo yet, so it's one of those things of I forget that Nissy's on the rotation. But yeah, and I know Nissy, tries to invite other people to help her out doing things, so that's pretty cool. Uh, but the thing is that what I'm doing, Nissy with Tammy. Ooh, all right. Um, basically, from my understanding, no one's doing what I'm doing. But I would have to say probably anyone who uh, hand lays track can probably I could probably bring on, but or asked to come on. I know there's someone from the uh, one of the other groups that I hang out with, along with Andy Esty, which Andy actually uh, told me about, was the Civil War uh, model train group, and sort of like a little bit too early for what I'm doing, but I'm thinking that it's like there's some stuff that could, uh, some of the older stuff could, some of the newer stuff during the Civil War could be operating uh, uh, by 1776, because I think it's about yeah, maybe around 10, about a decade or so off. Uh, but I'm also on a Discord, not only with that group, but also the group that's like uh, uh, what is it now? I think they said pre-depression. They're trying to, basically do turn of the century up to, well, obviously the Great Depression. And that's one of those things I have to work the opposite. Basically anything that's brand new during my time period would be probably very old by that time period. But all right, well, I guess if it's for Nissy, I'll see everyone over there then. Uh, I think the world needs more love, so find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Bye.